Hi, it's Annika, and I'm gonna be all bundled up and cool today because I am in White Sands National Park in New Mexico, and it is very, very, very bright today. Um, and astonishingly, the sand is gypsum, and it is cool. So I've been walking barefoot on the sand in the scorching heat. It's in a really an amazing place. Um, And I'm in my second week now on this holy moon, on this road trip from coast to coast. Um, and one of the things that has really stood out to me, it's just something I've known to be true, but to see it in real life again has been really profound. And it's just the incredible diversity of this country, and it's a diversity that goes beyond the superficial. So I live in Portland, Oregon, and my city is all about diversity. I mean, you practically can't have a business if you don't have some sort of diversity statement or offer some sort of diversity, inclusion, equity, and inclusion training for your employees. So diversity is a really, really big theme in Portland. Um, and I was very involved in that movement, a social justice movement, intersectionality, wokeness, whatever you want to call it. That was a big part of my journey the last few years. And if you've been reading my stuff for a while, you know that I've distanced myself from it. Um, and one of the reasons is that the diversity is so incredibly superficial. So there's a lot of emphasis on diversity of external features, like the color of the skin, um, the shape of the body, the what kind of chromosomes the body has, what kind of hormones the body produces or is being given, through pills or injections, and then what kind of identities a person holds for themselves. So the way they see themselves and like an identity that they basically assign to themselves or have, believe themselves to be. Um, and what gets left out is something I've heard called viewpoint diversity. And it's just the diversity of how we see the world, like worldview diversity. And traveling outside of my little bubble in Portland has been such an incredible reminder of how much deeper this diversity runs. And I'm reading about all these different peoples who live in these places now, who have lived in these places traditionally, and the way they view the world is so very different. In a place where the sun is incredibly abundant. It hasn't rained here in 2.5 years. Um, so water is scarce, sun is abundant. That's the opposite from where I live in the Pacific Northwest. And that shapes people, like the way people go about life, the way people think about reality, the way people think about each other, community, and living together, doing life together is really impacted by the land that they are on and the other people they're surrounded by. So I'm gaining this new appreciation for this deeper diversity of how we relate to the world. And I think that is an incredibly beautiful diversity. And I really miss that. I'm realizing how much I missed that because when I was really subscribed to the intersectional social justice belief system, and it really is a belief system. I see it more as a religion than an ideology or a political movement. I mean, it's definitely extended into politics and it has a political component, but at its core, it's much more of a belief system or like a religion. And when I was in that faith, in that belief system, I lost so much appreciation for our difference in how we relate to the world. It became all about this superficial, external diversity. And I lost much of my curiosity too. I started to think that I knew what people were like based on their external features or the identities that they proclaimed themselves to have. And I started to think that that told me more about the person than really spending the time having the presence and bringing curiosity to get to know this person and to recognize that regardless of the external features of the body, which do shape our experiences, of course, and those individually held identities, there's such a wealth of diversity in how we approach the world. So I'm very excited to reclaim that. It's also been, I think the word is humbling. It's been humbling to speak to people of such different mindsets and such different beliefs and recognize the value in those differences, the beauty in that diversity, and to let go of any ideas that I had of like thinking that I'm entitled to tell people how they should think and how they should believe. That's the thing really that kind of broke me out of that belief system. There were so many shoulds, like how I should relate to another person based on the color of their skin, how they should relate to me, how I should speak about someone based on features of their body, how they should speak about me, how we should relate to one another, should. It was just, and the implication was always, if you don't follow all of these shoulds, then you're just a bad person. And that bad person had different labels, obviously, like, racist, transphobe, all the different labels. But in essence, it was a set of beliefs or guidelines on how to behave and how to think and how to relate to avoid being a bad person, to avoid causing harm, being problematic, and being bad. And that's a real curiosity killer an authenticity killer too. And so it feels humbling and liberating to let go of all of those shoulds, and just allow myself to meet each person as a person, and allow them to just be however they are, and then be real about how that impacts me and how I experience them, which can be difficult at times, obviously. But the curiosity, like wanting to understand why someone is so different, and even when they are wrong, in my opinion, when I'm really convinced that their perception of reality is totally off. And if they act on it, that's not going to be a good thing. Even then, having the humility and the curiosity to get to know them and where they're coming from, rather than feeling entitled to make them different and to shape them into who I think they should be in order to be a good and not harmful or problematic person. And also just the curiosity to understand that if I had all of these circumstances that they did, wouldn't I be just like them? If I had like the life that they did and the background and so on. So it's been really humbling and liberating and beautiful to reclaim this deeper diversity of how we communicate, how we relate, and how we perceive reality. So that's it for today. I hope you can see anything. I cannot see the camera. It is so, so bright. Thankfully the sand is cool to sit on. That's the saving grace here. I don't know what I would do if the sand was hot too. I would probably not spend as much time here. So thanks for tuning in. I hope you have a good rest of your day and take care.